In today's discussion, we're diving into a topic that's important and often leads to interesting conversations, sometimes a few debates: price renewal strategies. And we know pricing is a delicate subject. You're a cleaning company, you have a pricing structure, you have clients you have to deal with, you're navigating that conversation. And as one year goes into the next, talking about price changes could come up. But whether you're managing long-term client relationships or seeking to maintain your competitive edge, today's episode will provide you with the tips to better your chances of success in negotiating price renewals while maintaining strong customer loyalty. And to do this, I'm pleased to welcome a frequent guest, Jeff Carmon. He's a director of business development with France Building Services and a consultant with Elite Business Coaching. Jeff, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to see you as well, Jeff. Look forward to the conversation.
I guess the best way to start the conversation today, Jeff, is to figure out the right time to approach a customer for a price renewal. Talk about that strategy.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of answer it three ways. The first thing I would say is right off the bat, just in terms of timing with a customer, is to find out when each customer's budget season begins. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's from a timing standpoint, getting in front of their budget season so that you can get any kind of pricing information to them there. Secondly, I think it's appropriate to kind of condition, if you will, customers for annual price increases. We've got it built into our contract that we can increase the price, but I think it's good for them to understand that your prices, or your cost of service is increasing every year. And so it's good to get them in that cycle. And then one other that I would say, and this is sometimes pops up, is when we develop our proposed pricing, we're estimating man hours and we're estimating what we're going to pay our folks, and that's where most of the cost is. Sometimes we get into a situation where it just takes a whole lot longer than we thought it was going to take. And so we've advised people before, if you go 3 or 4 months and you're barely breaking even or not making enough money, I think it's appropriate to approach a customer in humility and share with them that, hey, we messed up here, or we made a mistake. It's taking us longer. I think that's another opportunity to talk about a price increase.
I like that you have it in your contracts that it's an automatic thing. I mean, every prices go up, Jeff, everywhere. Every year, every service, it seems. Why not for the cleaning industry as well?
That's right. That's right. And our largest cost input is people, and people.
Right. They cost
Inflation
more.
goes up. Yeah, it costs more money to buy eggs, and so they need more money.
I think an automatic pricing or a wage increase for many is like 2 to 3% a year annually.
Right.
I mean, someone's going to have to pay for that. It's just we all have to chip in.
That's right.
But I have to think the pushback's going to happen no matter what at times. How do you frame that conversation with a long-term customer when you're going to propose a price increase, especially when they think they're already paying a premium?
That's right. Yeah, it's a good question. And I've told people before, there's nobody that's sitting around budget time and looking at their budget and going, you know what, we need to spend more money on janitorial this year. Absolutely nobody says that. And so I think the best way to approach it is to approach it, say, maybe like an attorney would in presenting a case. And so a good attorney is going to gather all the facts and then present the case and present their view to try to convince somebody to do something. And so when I say facts, I think that the things that we need to gather and bring forward would be what are the cost of wages in a market area. And so you can go to Indeed, you can go to school systems, you can look at school systems websites and get wage prices of wages in the area. I think you can, if your janitorial supplies have went up, just some examples of the way things have went up. And so that's the case for the dollars. But I think that presenting the case that we have provided really good service and have some metrics associated with that. And so a metric might be a customer satisfaction score or a net promoter score, or maybe you can count the number of issues that a customer sent your way and how you solve those. So just some different ways to give some objective measures that your services has been good throughout the period.
Those are some good strategies. Are there other tactics you can use to demonstrate added value during this negotiation?
Yeah, so I think let's talk about value real quick in terms of what we do. And a lot of times we'll go, and I think we may have talked about this before. People think the value of what we do is cleaning is doing cleaning work, and really the value is reduced anxiety, it's decreased hassles or decreased interruptions, so that leads to more productivity for the person who's buying our services. And then there's this reputational assurance and that idea that the person who selected us kind of puts their reputation on the line when they bring us in there. And so I think to talk about those things, but if we talk about reducing anxiety or reducing distractions for the buyer, we have to be able to quantify how many issues did we have. And so building out a system so that we can track those things is really important. And I don't think that's prevalent in our industry. And I think there's a lot that can be done in that regard. So we're testing QR codes that we post in buildings so that rather than a person that's in a building take the complaint to the contact, they can send the directly to us and we can track that.
Yeah, that adds value for sure. That's a good idea. Okay, let's talk about mistakes we might make. A business owner or whoever's doing the negotiating for the cleaning company during those negotiations, what are some common ones you have noticed, and how can we avoid those?
I think the most common, and we've just kind of talked about it, is to focus on the cost elements more. And I think it's appropriate to talk about those, but is to miss talking about the value that you bring to the table. And a lot of times we talk about, again, we talk about these cost elements, but we don't go back to the value, the true value that we're providing. And so talking about, hey, I hope our service has created an environment so that your team members are pleased and you're getting compliments rather than complaints. I think that's probably one of the things that probably a lot of people miss. I think knowing your numbers is something else somebody misses. And so if you're going to someone and saying, hey, we're going to give our team members 2.5%, 3% increases, and we want to come to you and ask you to participate in that. I think it's appropriate to say, hey, and here's some, so that you'll know that we're paying our people in the market. Having that information is really helpful. I think work hours, to say, hey, we estimated it's going to take between 20 and 30 hours to clean your facility every night. And here's a sampling of the time we spent. So we're right in there. So I think knowing the numbers. And then the last thing is a mistake is asking for a price increase after a customer's budget is completed. I can't stress that enough. You got to get in front of their budget.
Yeah, I mean, that time has passed. You got to get in there early. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Good
So
point,
that means
Jeff.
you got to know when it is. You have to know, you have to ask your customer when that period is.
That makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about when negotiations become tough or contentious, and a client you're talking to is like, I might go somewhere else, hire another company.
Mhm.
How do you maintain that smile, that positive attitude, or deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. And I think this probably goes without saying, but this is probably the time to buckle down and provide the best service that you can. This is not a time to say, hey, these guys might be kicking us out. Well, this is the time to buckle down and do really good work. I think the second thing is to realize as a person, it's not personal. These are business decisions. And then I think in humility, just thank the customer for the opportunity to continue these discussions so that we can come to a mutually beneficial end. And so I think that's I go back to it, just keep providing really good service to prove to them during this period the value that you bring.
Yeah, those honest conversations will go a long way. And when they see the value, they understand they have to pay for that. Business people are smart people.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get some final words of advice from you, Jeff. Those who are watching the program, they're dealing with price negotiations. What strategies might you share, or final words to help them get this done?
Yeah, we do this. I think it's appropriate I think it's wise to keep a roster of your customers and an ongoing month over month check on profitability on the customers and on everything that you have. And so that as you approach a year, you can look at your customers and say, here's 6 or 8 customers that we really need to think strategically about moving their price. Some prices are going to move up a little. There's some that may need to jump quite a bit, and you need to think through strategically how you're going to come to somebody with maybe a 10 or 15% price increase if that's the case. I think the other thing is to start thinking about how you can gather metrics so that you can prove your value. And so things like what I just talked about, QR codes or something that measures that you can bring that value forward in the conversation when you start talking about pricing.